is that it's perhaps the first time, maybe Orlando did a little bit of this, but it's the first time over the last 6 weeks in which we actually saw a team that was trying to talk to Messi off the ball, that was getting his hands on him, that was chirping, that was physical, that had numbers around him, and when there was an opportunity to kick him, they did kick him. And we saw from Inter Miami that for all the possession that they had very little creativity, because if it was not coming from Messi, then it's going to depend on somebody else doing it. And so when the chances fell to Robert Taylor, for once he wasn't scoring. And it kind of gives you an idea that if you're a team playing against Inter Miami, there is a blueprint. As obvious as it may seem, you deal with Messi first, second, and third, and if the other guys are beating you, then you live with that. Messi wasn't doing it, didn't have the best game, wasn't as active as he has been in other matches. Maybe the legs are beginning to catch up with him. Maybe he's getting a little bit tired. And the other thing that I did see from Nashville is the fact that Inter Miami was presenting the Leagues Cup to their fans. Okay? The Leagues Cup that they won from Nashville at Nashville. Mm-hmm. So whatever you may think about the competition, it's still a big old trophy that they're presenting to the fans, and you as a player are seeing this. They won it in your stadium. There's got to be some competitive pride. I've been asking for that. I've been calling for that. We finally saw it from Nashville over the course of 90 minutes. Not out of control, very good defending, very good organized, but whenever Messi had the ball, 2 and 3 players around him made it more difficult for him. It's no longer a parade. This is not a lifetime achievement award ceremony that we're having for Messi. We're actually competing with Lionel Messi. He may beat you sometimes, but at the very least, you're making it difficult for him. That's all I'm asking for. Nashville did that last night.
Is this the blueprint, Stevie, going forward?
I honestly think you've got to take into account the fact that the amount of games that Miami have played.
Okay, and proper games, obviously.
Yeah, every single game has been. It almost feels as though for them it's a barn buster. Every single one's a cup final.
Yeah.
Whether it was or whether it was semis, and then now just so-called ordinary games for everybody else is still a big deal, and that takes the juice out of you as a player. Certainly physically. But there's a lot of mental stress as well. And so I like to the fact that I guess the one thing any coach is going to go, look, at the very least, we've got to close these people down. We can't stand off them. So they're running out of juice. You've got your game plan to stop them playing by hook or by crook, annoy them, kick them, whatever you need to do, and the rest. Then it's going to be hard because they're not going to have a lot of time to get any juice back in the legs. They just haven't.
Well, plus, of course, there's World Cup qualifying coming up as well, so that's South America.
Yeah, so I absolutely don't see Inter Miami getting to the playoffs, and I think you'll probably find between now and the end of the season, it's going to be a bit of a real roller coaster. There'll be games where Messi will be fantastic, and there'll be other games because of the World Cup qualifiers, because of the travelling, because he will not be quite the player that we thought he is.
It'll be interesting to see what Tata Martino does this weekend. They're playing at LAFC, one of the best teams in MLS. They're having to go to LA. Now, he just played 90 minutes at home because you're thinking we need to get 3 points at home.
Yes.
What do you do away from home? Does the fact that you're playing one of the best teams in MLS then force you into playing Lionel Messi once again? Or are you looking out for his legs? Does he come in as a sub at the 60th minute or so? These are decisions that now Tata Martino has to make that are thinking about the big picture and are thinking about, okay, are we making a real run of the playoffs here, or what's the priority? We've already won Leagues Cup. We're probably going to win Open Cup. That's going to become a priority for us. That's yet another trophy that we're playing for. MLS Cup is much, much further down the line, and I just don't know whether Tata Martino at this point is willing to risk Lionel Messi to put him out there against LAFC. But it will be the real test to see what this version of Inter Miami is, playing against one of the best teams in MLS away from home. It would give us a real idea as to where they are in the league.
Shaka, it's interesting, Stevie mentioned it, that Inter Miami have just played so many big games recently, and the problem is, given the circumstance when Lionel Messi joined them, they're all big games now if you're going to get anywhere near the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Listen, looking at this game yesterday, I couldn't help but feel it just had a different atmosphere to, well, albeit the cup final against Nashville. It had a different atmosphere from any of Inter Miami's cup games. And league football is so different from cup football, as we keep seeing. And you just wonder if that has something to do with it. That and the fact that Inter Miami, yes, they have a lot of games and there's still the possibility of them making the playoffs. But they're having to make up an awful lot of ground in those 10 remaining games. So you can't help but wonder. And also from a Nashville perspective, and while I was kind of full of praise for them in their second half performance in the Cup final, I thought in this game, they came into this without the awe, without the kind of getting stunned by the bright lights that were Lionel Messi and Inter Miami, and just played their game, all right? They didn't counterattack as effectively as they did in the second half in the Cup final, but they certainly contained Messi and Inter Miami incredibly well, to the point where I think Inter Miami's first shot on target was in the 65th minute, some ridiculous like that. So that, for me, is the blueprint. That don't get kind of caught.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.